when your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach them.
Oh, Dick Gephardt is gone forever. Democrats are back in power. Some of them look nothing like the Democrats you remember, and some of the most radical are taking spots on key committees. The Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, you just saw raving there in the video. She's on the House Oversight Committee. She's joined there by Alexandria Ocasio Cortez of New York. Will they be very different from the Democrats they replace? Independent Women's Voice senior fellow Lisa Booth joins us tonight for a preview on that.
Hi,
hey, Lisa.
Tucker. How are you?
I'm mesmerized by the tape we just played.
Exactly. Well, as you mentioned, she's going to be one of the new members of the House Oversight Committee. And look, the House Oversight Committee, they have the broadest authority to investigate. And so that's really going to be the primary committee that's going after the Trump administration and trying to, see what they can come up with, right? And just today, the House Oversight Committee, who's chaired by Elijah Cummings, sent a letter to the White House saying that they are investigating the White House over the way that they give out security clearances. So they're looking into Michael Flynn, Jared Kushner, and a variety of other members of the administration. Elijah Cummings has also said that they're going to be looking into things like President Trump's zero-tolerance policy with immigration, also Scott Pruitt in his time as EPA director. So the Oversight Committee is going to be incredibly aggressive. And you can see that, too, by some of the members like Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who were named to be part of this committee. Dan Kildee, who is part of the steering committee, which is the committee that chooses the members that are going to be on committees, said that he chose these members because they're going to be aggressive and going after the Trump administration.
Do you think that's a promise we should take seriously?
100%, Tucker. I mean, look, think about it this way, Tucker. So the House, Democrats only have control of the House, right? So there's only so much legislation you can really move forward. Most of the bills that are passed in the House are going to go die in the Senate. So then what do you do as a body? Their objective is going to be investigating the Trump administration. This is going to be the primary goal of House Democrats. And remember, too, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think we have this tweet, if we can put it up there. She tweeted out to Don Jr., she said, I have noticed that Jr. here has a habit of posting nonsense about me whenever the Mueller investigation heats up. Please keep it coming, Jr. It's definitely a very, very large brain idea to troll a member of a body that will have subpoena power in a month. So she's already basically put out there via Twitter what her objective is this incoming member of the Oversight Committee. So the Trump administration should buckle up. It's going to be a lot of pain over the next 2 months, a lot of negative headlines. And this is really what Democrats are after over the next two years here.
Well, we've at least settled the question of whether AOC runs her own Twitter account. Answer, yes, she does.
I think she does. I think she does. That's a safe bet.
It is. Lisa Booth, thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
So some shocking new numbers tonight from Customs and Border Protection lay out what the agency is calling a, quote, urgent humanitarian and security crisis that is ongoing at our southern border. Take a look at some of these numbers. In the past 4 months, about the course of the year, a little before that, 9,000 illegals have been apprehended at the border. Most of them are coming in with families with children, which is a new trend that we're seeing, or an accelerated one to be sure. As a result of that, many who are coming through are in need of medical attention in much higher numbers than what we have seen in the past. The agency also reporting that it spent 20,000 man-hours, when they break it down, on taking these individuals to get medical care, to hospitals, etc. All right, also in this report, in one 2-day period alone, take a look at what they apprehended. Almost 1,000 pounds of drugs that were coming across the border from smugglers and traffickers. Remember that this is the issue that is at the heart of this whole shutdown. A shutdown that the Senate voted on twice today, but failed to bring to an end. And now, a new suggestion tonight from the president.
One of the ideas suggested is they open it, they pay a sort of a prorated down payment for the wall, which I think people will agree that you need. You need the wall. In fact, I see a lot of the Democrats are almost all of them are breaking, saying, look, walls are good, walls are good.
Except for Nancy Pelosi, who is saying absolutely not. But could there be some movement between Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, who are still meeting tonight? Kellyanne Conway, counselor to President Trump. Kellyanne, thank you for being here. Good to see you tonight.
Thank you, Martha.
So what is the very latest? What did you hear out of that meeting? And what is the president exactly talking about? How prorated would it be? Over what period of time?
Well, we are encouraged that the leaders, Mr. Schumer and Mr. McConnell, are still meeting into the night here, because that says that perhaps we can get that border security and also get the government reopened. Those are the dual goals here. This president is keeping a promise to the American people, his first and solemn duty to secure the southern border. He sees a humanitarian crisis on both sides of the border. Here we've got the drugs pouring through, the child smuggling, a lot of crime, but also, most importantly, we have at the other side of the border people taking this perilous journey. And of course, Mexico has, I think, started to implement some of the policies that allows people, particularly these unaccompanied minors and families who are coming up from the Northern Triangle countries, to stay in Mexico while their asylum claims are being processed on this side of the border.
You tagged bracelets on people and telling them, from what we're hearing, to head right to the United States. But I want to get your thoughts on the vote that we saw today. We saw two votes, and the vote that had no border wall funding actually got more Republican votes than the one that had border wall funding. That one pulled in Lamar Alexander, Isaacson, Murkowski, Collins, Gardner, and Romney. So it appears that on the Senate side, that they want to get this over with, and that they're willing to compromise on border wall funding to do so.
Well, but both votes, of course, neither achieved the 60 vote threshold that is necessary. And I was really struck by how many Republicans stuck together with the president's point of view and priorities here as well. But the president was, I was in there today in the Oval Office, so the president was speaking to a number of different Republican members and feels very buoyant that his negotiating team on Capitol Hill was up there today and trying to come up with the next phases of a deal. Remember, Martha, we're yet to get a counteroffer or even much of a response from the Democratic leadership to the proposal that the president put forth publicly on Saturday. It's now Thursday.
Yeah, no, that is very surprising. No, it doesn't.
They have to make a counteroffer. I mean, Nancy Pelosi saying no money for a wall. That's just not realistic.
Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, I'm sorry to interrupt. If they're meeting, do you have any indication that Chuck Schumer, is in there with some kind of response, with a proposal from the Democratic side? And when the president talks about the possibility of a prorated wall payment, is that down to a very short period of time? Like if you have a continuing resolution over a number of weeks, is it, sort of broken down to, well, here's some wall money for a number of weeks even?
Well, on that regard, he is considering a number of different options and speaking with his legislative and legal teams tonight, actually, on that. But what I want to tell you about the funding and the two bills is this. The priorities remain the same. It is border security, but it's more than that. It's more than the barrier, which, of course, is a centerpiece. Really, the Democrats' wish list is in the president's proposal. DACA, TPS, humanitarian needs, detention beds, more immigration judges, 2,750 new personnel at the border patrol, more technology, $805 million for technology and detection methods to seize these drugs, $800 million for more humanitarian needs.
There's no doubt. We detailed that very clearly.
They? Come to the table, stay in town.
There's plenty in there that they should be glad about, and there's all kinds of evidence, at least up to this point, that they just don't want the president to be able to sign anything. So we'll see if that's changing.
The win is not for the president. The win is for the country. This country, we're a sovereign nation that needs borders.
Well, and it appears that politically they don't want the president to have a win here.
And Martha, I want to say something that hasn't got a lot of coverage. I work on the drug crisis here at the White House every single day for this president, for this nation. Every single Democrat last summer who voted in favor of every single Democrat who voted in favor of the drug legislation. They've already admitted that we have a huge opiate and drug problem in this country. And now when it comes to the 300 people dying from heroin overdoses a week in this country, 90% of it is coming over the southern border. Increasingly, fentanyl is, cocaine, certainly meth. Right. We've got to stop it.
Well, let me ask, I want to look at the polls with you, because it does appear that, according to the polls that we're seeing here at Fox and in other places, that the president is getting blamed for this. The approval number down 3 points from December to now. His disapproval number is up 2 points from December till now. And then the question, who is to blame for the shutdown? President Trump gets 51% in the Fox poll. Democrats only get 34%. Is that how does the president feel about that? Politically, does that feel difficult for him? And is that going to push him to maybe make a compromise he wouldn't have made prior to that?
the president is not looking at the polls. He's looking at the policies. He's looking at the crisis at the border. And he's not keeping a campaign promise so much as upholding his constitutional duty to keep us all safe. If he had to look at polls to make decisions, he'd
he just said yesterday he was so happy with his numbers with Hispanics, so he clearly follows the polls. We know that.
Right. There's no question. He's happy that people are getting the message, even though it's so difficult to get the message out on these issues. And also in the Fox polls, you've seen that the wall itself has gone up in appeal to many people. And it's not just the wall. It's a steel slat barrier. He has said, call it what you want, so long as we have it. It is a centerpiece of it. But, Martha, this president doesn't want to be blamed for not taking action on the border when so many presidents have promised, both Republicans and Democrats. Congress has failed to do its job for any number of years. The Republican-led Congress last year had promised him after he signed that omnibus, and he said, don't ever give me anything like that again. I won't sign it. They said, okay, but we'll do the wall for you. Where is it? And now the Democrats are in charge. But look, I think this is much like criminal justice reform, the opioid crisis, all these bipartisan measures that passed. This is a nonpartisan issue at our border, starving for bipartisan solutions. And I think there are a number of Democrats, including the 31 Democrats who won in 2018 in districts that President Trump carried in 2016. 22 of them are freshmen. I've got to imagine they're going back home and getting an earful. We didn't send you there to be in a shutdown. We sent you there to secure our community.
Before I let you go, I mean, you just said they're going back home, and I think that that's one thing that really infuriates a lot of people who are not getting paid right now.
They're rarely here. That's right. And by the way, the Congress,
for the weekend, and they'll be back when, on Tuesday?
That's right. They're fully funded. They have the longest weekend of any workers in their districts. Their members in Congress have the, and look, just stay in town. The president's saying, come to the table, stay in town, hash it out, get it done. And we're glad that leaders McConnell and Schumer are doing that right now tonight, and hopefully we'll come up with a resolution. The president is ready to sign it.
All right, we'll be here if there's news. Thank you very much, Kellyanne. Good to see you tonight.
Bye-bye.